Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4000 Week Reich as the Union of South Africa. Now, last time we were here together, we had a little bit of a civil war where we kicked back the whatchamacallit, the who-you-macallit, the Trans-Orange Republic in their very poorly planned civil war. And we have a new focus right now. I was considering doing the wholesome liberal route, but I saw this, namely the communist path, and I thought that was very, very interesting. So, why the hell not? Sounds like it could be funny. Maybe not funny, but interesting. So, let's improve some lines over here. There is debate on whether South Africa should formally declare an end to the Union and change its national symbols. If South Africa was to declare itself a republic, three proposals have come forward. One presenting the option pertaining to the current ANC flag as a national flag, the second being a redesign featuring a box-like design, and the third being a walker proposal from the 1920s. Well, perhaps a new flag will be enough. Oh, that flag's terrible. I fucking hate. Well, is it? It's not great. I guess it's not bad. Alright, let's get working on decolonization. To satisfy demands of the majority, a process of decolonization is the one way for the majority population to reclaim the national identity that the white elites of South Africa have robbed them of long ago. Let's promote. Expand this, get that going. Some more populist rhetoric. Meanwhile, let us get working on transistor computing. That extra research slot will be nice, methinks. Oh, trade war against the U.S. and China, who would have thought? In the wake of the overthrow of apartheid, there's been an unfortunate rise of social instability and some breakdown in law and order. One aspect of this has been a rise of so-called vigilante justice across the country. Bands of armed black and colored South Africans have been exercising their unofficial system of justice on the systems of apartheid society, and much of the white, particularly white elite population. Attacks have been launched on the farms of white landowners, including looting and forcible land seizures and evictions. In the cities, white industries that dominated the economy have been attacked, particularly their owners. National Party politicians have been particular targets. While our government is officially against such violent lawlessness, there is some hesitance to crack down too hard from some radical members of the ANC, who see it as an inevitable process and think that any strong intervention would only divide the non-white South African population. They are calling for a softer hand against vigilantes, of course not taking the problem seriously as potential to let it escalate. I mean, they're on our side. Why should we stop them? I like how the fascist and the National Socialist branch parties are just called terrorists now. That's kind of funny. Extremist rallies. This increasingly hot political climate some groups have been agitating not because of the way we've transformed the country, but arguing that we've not transformed it enough. Radical groups, particularly radical Africanist and communist, have been holding ever greater rallies, attracting even greater crowds, denouncing our government as soft, too slow to make changes, and too incrementalist in their reforms. Have become calling for revolution, attacking the government, and in some cases calling for violent action. Something has to be done about this development, which is threatening to tear apart our new young South African society apart. We only need to promise more than our opponents. Easy. Meanwhile, we have the People's Declaration. While majority rules come to South Africa, some have been disappointed by what they see as a lack of progress in transforming and fixing the country. In a recent major development, a petition has been signed by a coalition of more radical anti-apartheid groups calling for a much bolder action from the government. The political active bloc consists of the ANC Youth League, represented by the young activist politician Nelson Mandela, alongside the Pan-Africanist Congress and South African Communist Party, both radical anti-apartheid political movements outside of the ANC. Together, they've co-signed the so-called People's Declaration, which will make a series of demands for radical reform to South Africa. These range from much accelerated work to politically integrate non-white South Africans in political life, to a radical program of nationalization, land reform, and wealth redistribution to narrow the economic gap between the different racial groups and bring true equality to the country. For some of the proposals are too radical for the government to quickly achieve, and for now there's no obligation to do so. However, the declaration is proving popular at the grassroots level and will certainly put growing pressure on the government to make more bold action and reform the country. This will only divide the country. I don't know why we need to control South Namibia for this. That seems a little peculiar. Maybe someone can expand on that. Africanists within the ANC and adjacent groups are calling for a significant yet symbolic change on the complete decolonization of South Africa. They're demanding the formation of a renaming committee in hopes of completely eliminating colonial location names, replacing them with native ones. This is not necessary. Well, hold the fuck on. I think it's necessary. Spam militias, populist rhetoric. Alright, we have to wait a little longer for this. Let's go ahead and work on... What do we want? Let's do the South African National Defense Force. As for any country, South Africa's armed forces are the bedrock of its security. And increasingly tumultuous world for our old guarantors potentially becoming weaker, we must be prepared to defend ourselves. We must build on the experience of European wars and build powerful armed forces for a future fully independent South Africa, chart its own path, and be a mighty power in our region. Now, this is something I can get behind. So, out of curiosity, does India have a faction? India does have a faction, okay. Okay. Thomas more than our opponents. Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. I apologize for that. I think this will do it. Yep, there we go. In a shock turn of events, radical elements of the ANC and many of their allies in the Communist Party have struck and overthrown the government, seizing power for themselves. Ever since their victory, the ANC leadership has been seeking to balance the desires of radical revolutionaries with the pragmatic needs of stability and gradual reform, hoping to avoid violence or political turmoil. These hopes, it seems, have gone up in smoke as radical elements of the ANC and allied movements have sidelined their opponents through the threat of force, and in the final blow, seized control of the levers of power and systems of government across the country. Much of the world looks on with trepidation as radical African nationalist government asserts itself in South Africa. Revolution, not moderation. So we get revolutionary turmoil, which is not great. We're going to get the white flight, which is not great either. Oh, well, there he is. There's the man, Mr. Mandela. In a shot, Congress and many of their allies in the Communist Party have struck and overthrown the government, seizing power for themselves. Ever since their victory, the ANC leadership seek to balance the desires of radical revolutionaries. Is this what we've read already? Much of the world looks on with trepidation as the radical African nationalist government asserts itself in South Africa. Ousted for being too soft. Let's go ahead. Look at this. A radical takeover. So-called moderates have failed in their attempt to restore the colonial status quo. People and their demand for real change in South Africa shall be heard. So that's going to change some names, if I'm not mistaken. Guma. These all look pretty colonialist to me, so I don't know what they're talking about, personally. But yeah, here we are. What I'm missing? Anti-tank motorized. Let's get some motorized going. And now it looks like we're gonna have another struggle between the communists and the Africanists. Now I have to decide who I want more. I'll probably do political warfare. Well, here's the man himself, Nelson Mandela, a legendary figure in the ANC due to his revolutionary activities and an instrumental role in the breakdown of South African segregation. His status is also by combination of traits. On the one side, his privileged upbringing and his educated background granted him eloquence. On the other, his proactiveness stood in contrast to the gentlemanly techniques of the old ANC leadership, which allowed him an even broader appeal to the masses. Therefore, thanks to his perfect mixture of both, Mandela shall act as a great unifying figure for the South African nation. Well, about that, escalation in Vietnam. Okay, yeah. We'll go for the communists. Any racial shit in South Africa makes me uncomfortable, I'll be real. So, let's make this as non-racial as we can. Hopefully the comment section will go ahead with that. Meanwhile, sport promotes civilian industry. Alongside heavy industry, another key part of major economies is civilian consumer industries, which respond to the demand of a new, growing class of consumers. We will invite and encourage investment into light industries and around our major cities, building consumer goods for domestic consumption and for exports and growing local international markets. Yeah. We have hardly any factories in northern Transvaal. Let's get working on that. Ever since our political revolution against the old white-dominated regime, the South African Communist Party has been gaining in strength. Founded in the 1920s by the white communists, it quickly came to be dominated by a concern for black workers, support for South Africa becoming a native republic, and more recently, a huge influx of black members. As a result, it's been a powerful force on the anti-apartheid far left of the party, has been a close ally to the ANC in the fight against white racial rule. In fact, many high-ranking members of the ANC have also been members of the South African Communist Party. This has not been a problem until recently. Now, as the ANC attempts to assert itself and set forth a common vision for South Africa, how to treat our allies within the SACP has become an increasingly contentious issue. Many more moderate members of the ANC are concerned by what they see to be growing SACP influence, with former and current SACP members within the ANC and the government seemingly being increasingly influenced by the Communist Party policy positions. Among some, there are fears that the Communist Party, like in many states across the world, will attempt a power grab once its influence has grown enough. They are calling for greater party discipline and perhaps restrictions on ANC members being members of the Communist Party. Of course, such double members and their sympathizers on the left of the party are against such a move and categorically assert the SACP simply a valuable ally, war of continuous cooperation and gratitude. What's wrong about that? Rail project complete. Very good. I'm gonna have to decide between these two on what we want to do. Nothing's going over in India. I think it's only India, right? Who's communist? Other than, you know, the obvious guys in Russia. These guys, they don't have a focus tree. That's what I figured. Looks like Perm is probably going to win out here. Which is probably for the best. Let's do Transvaal coal mines. For centuries, coal has been the main fuel of any industrial economy, and we have been lucky enough to have been blessed with large reserves of coal, particularly in the Transvaal region. We will work with local industries to further expand coal mining to fuel our economy's growing need for fuel and electricity and for potential export. Let's get that political warfare going. Collaborate with the labor unions. yeah, this is naturally moving towards the Africanists, which makes me think that this is going to be a lot harder. And we're losing political power as we try to do this, which makes things all the more annoying. Let's work on radio detection. And then let's see over here. Did I not research this? I did. So what am I missing here? Needs manufacturing. I think that's one of the new fucking things that I don't understand yet. Some of these experimental facilities. Okay, so we can't. Can I haven't figured out how this works, so I don't know how to do it. Oh, they're going after Slovakia. Slovakia's gone. That was quick. How are we doing over here? We're still hanging on. Let's get political warfare going. The DLL. I did not expect that personally. Interesting. Meanwhile. Oh, no. What's wrong with that? I can tell what's wrong with that. It's going to nuke our political power. I would not want to be Croatia or Serbia, particularly right now. I'll give myself some political power just so that we can keeping on with this. What's wrong with that? I can tell you many things that are wrong with that. This is a little annoying to figure out how to do, isn't it? Not figure out how to do, but keep going. What's wrong with that? I have many things that are wrong with that. For a socialist nation, these people seem to hate communists. I'm just saying. Oh, leftists infighting. I suppose I'm not surprised by that. Anyway, expand the diamond exports. Ever since the Kimberley Diamond Strike of 1868, South Africa has been one of the few countries blessed with large quantities of accessible natural diamonds. World leader in liquid industry, it's been a constant of the South African economy, much has changed since the days of Cecil Rhodes, and now new techniques and technologies are able to increase the efficiency and speed of mining. We will invest in further expanding of diamond mines of the country, encouraging this major industry as demands for diamonds increase across the world. There we go. Also got improved medical stuff, which we love to see. Let's get better medicine on top of that. Meanwhile, the UK is just kind of hanging here a little awkwardly. If that's what they want to do, they can do that. Let's get tank equipment going. Oh no, Gotenland's going hard. Oh, 9. Oh, God. Hydric, no. 9. I imagine there have to be, like, peaceful options or reunifications, right? Maybe not. I don't know. Huh. Although I think now the balance of power is going to start flipping towards our way. Yep, there we go. So I don't think we even have to do anything unless we really want to speed it along. Which I mean could be fun. But, you know, patience is a virtue. What we say is we almost immediately overthrew the government, not giving it a real chance to, you know, properly, do anything. But that was just a skill issue on their part, really, at the end of the day. So I find it interesting that this focus out of the steel icon doesn't give you steel. That's a little strange to me. But, what do I know? Not much. But I do know that we should work towards an export infrastructure. As we work to build a strong industrial base, we must make sure that our country, much of it remote, has the infrastructure to get resources and goods in and out. Work will be done to upgrade road, rail, and other infrastructure in key economic corridors to facilitate more efficient transport and trade across the country and with the outside world. There we go. I think the perm government is really overextending itself. Why? Shots are going to fucking Croatia, of Buenos Aires of all places. I wonder if that means if Croatia goes at... What is that? The Americans just have horrible border war going on, don't they? Also, these guys aren't communists anymore. That was gonna be really funny. No, it's not. I'm not really worried about naval stuff. Let's do some steel making, though. Some excavation on top of that. I don't get anything from revolutionary justice. We'll do some more collaboration, some labor unions, and some political warfare. Why not? And there we go. Following the rise of a radical coalition in South Africa, it was perhaps inevitable that the new winner of control would fight among themselves for the ultimate control. Radical ANC members in the South African Communist Party, which had worked together to take control previously, quickly turned on each other, both trying to fill the power vacuum. As thus clear as it seems, a provisional government, dominated by communists and labor unions, has succeeded into seizing power, complete power. Meanwhile, the Africanists, largely ANC members committed to radical African nationalism first and socialism second, have been largely sidelined, so surely have a significant effect on both South Africa and the region's future, as South Africa seems set to turn to in a more explicitly socialist direction. Arise, workers of South Africa. Boop. Provisional government prevails. All power to the provisional government. Communist cells and their local organizations have successfully wrestled control from the racist Africanists. Ooh, if I can turn that timer off. There we are. So. Seems this is how the cookie has decided to crumble. Now we're going to take a look at this fun stuff next video. In the meanwhile, I'm going to end this video here, but thank you as always for watching, my friends. If you like this video, leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of this content in the future, hit the sub button for uploads weekdays as well as occasionally Saturdays. If you have any comments, feedback, leave in the comment section below. I read all comments I get, and I do appreciate any feedback you might have for me. Hit the sub button, the notification bell to get these uploads as they come out. And yeah, my name has been Mr. Dogboat333. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye now.